Ladies and gentlemen, I have here a game from a 1v1 Polytopia League that I have recently taken part of, and this one is an example of planning ahead and not giving up. I am here playing as Aquarion, and in this game, it is going to be a normal-sized lakes map. An interesting thing about the league that I ended up playing in, I'll go and put a link in the description below. But an interesting thing about this league is you're playing 2 games against each person in your division. You host one, and then your opponent hosts one. So you're going to host 9 games, and you get to choose all of the settings. There are, of course, a few things that are off limits, such as Water World and all that, because nobody wants to play on that. But what we ended up having here is an interesting game between myself and my opponent, which was Icy Wind. This one I found to be a very interesting game. This one was kind of short, but it was definitely interesting, and which is why I would like to share it. So, of course, since I'm host, I have first turn advantage. There's nothing in the rules saying that you must skip your first turn. Hopefully this is something Majwani will try to address in 1v1 games or at least try to get rid of the first turn advantage, because like more and more data has been getting collected over the years, and whoever goes first has a clear advantage in the pace of the entire game. So I would like to see that a little bit balanced out, but beggars can't be choosers. Everything works out in the end. Anywho, we're going to go ahead and get this started off. As Aquarion, one of the interesting things that you have is a difference in your riding tech and your knight tech is spearing instead of chivalry. And then your riders can get movement over the water with just 2 techs. You don't have to be going all the way through fishing, sailing, and navigation, so you can get access to going over the water a lot cheaper. Alrighty. So we're gonna go and get this started off. So we're actually gonna go ahead and switch shared view off. Based off of what I was seeing, here, I figured there's more likely to be a village off to the east, and that gets me closer towards the center of the map a little bit more reliably than going around the outside, which my second warrior will do anyways. My opponent, Icy Wind, is playing Luxidoor, so they are going to be able to start off with being able to spam 3 warriors right out of the gate. The water is not kind, but they have 3 clear different directions on where to send their warriors. So we're going to go ahead and turn that shared fog back on and continue the game. Moving out, everyone's finding their villages, and mind you, these are not live games. These are played over the course of time, so everyone's able to think about their turns. At this point, both me and my opponent are able to see that we are right next to each other. I now know that they are Luxidoor. They now know that I am Aquarion, so they know that they're going to have to be going with technology such as archery, as archery is one of the better techs to be using against Aquarion, oddly enough. It's mostly because of how they can deal with riders and tridents over the water, but if in a land-based battle, riders are just great as well. So right over here, I'm going to keep pausing this as often as possible. Again, the map is not super kind to Icy Wind, but they have good resources on their cities. They'll be able to choose to go either fishing or hunting, which in this case, as I keep mentioning that archers are going to be... I'm sorry, my dog is playing with her toy. Archers is a pretty good tech, there's a good chance they're going to be going with archery, or with hunting. Meanwhile, I go ahead and pick up organization, and then I'm able to start seeing crops. And oh boy, I'm not having as many croplands in my capital. We're in for a rough ride. Going to be leveling up my first city, going with that workshop as Since my riders aren't going to be able to move as fast, I don't necessarily need to explore off in this direction. A workshop is an excellent choice. Gets me one step closer towards those tridents. So I'm actually bringing my warrior back, and he's chasing, which is going to allow me on my turn to use my units to get that safe and secure kill, where my warrior can heal a good amount in my borders, and now I can slowly scout forward to see what else might be going on. As I also may want to consider not getting a workshop, but an explore in my capital to see what my opponent is up to. I don't think I end up doing that this game. Alright, so my opponent ends up picking up their hunting, and immediately they already have their archery technology. With this archery technology, they're gonna... Alright, we're just gonna bring it back just a little bit. With the archery technology that they ended up rushing, they're gonna get archers in both of their cities, planning on playing aggressively. Now, Luxidoor is interesting that they can play moderately aggressive, as they start off with an upgraded capital. However, it's not gonna be as good as leveling up all their cities, and at this point they are now losing stars because they didn't upgrade their first city with either an explorer or better yet, potentially with a workshop. What they could have also considered for the best explorer possible is, instead of sending this warrior forward, bringing this warrior backwards to this tile right here, so that way when they do explore, the explorer has no choice to be venturing off towards the center, so they can see and potentially get riders to get an advantage in expanding towards the center of the map. They're also going to be able to find this village right here in the back, as Luxidoor is able to spam out more units than the average tribe. And Illyrion is not an average tribe, so don't be throwing that in the comments down below. Getting up that workshop, as at this point there's no real reason for them to be getting an explorer. That explorer would be going backwards, which is counterproductive to what Luxidoor would be needing. So at this point, the only good thing they could do, despite their vision not being that grand, turning off that shared vision, even though they don't really see much that's going on, they have no choice but to be picking up that workshop, because that explorer would be going backwards, and they do not have the rider's technology. It'd be a whole bunch of wasted stars. I sent my unit forward. We're going to go and switch views again, just to see what everyone at this point is seeing. Moving my units outwards, going with a good spread of all of my warriors, and instead of healing this warrior, I am sending him back going, I need more stars. If I can rush those tridents, then I will be able to fight my opponent just fine. At this point, I do know, based off of, this is only turn 6, and we met immediately on turn 2 and 3, that this is my opponent's capital. I can't select it here in the replay. Please, Mijwani, allow me to select stuff while the game is paused. Y'all are doing a fantastic job at making replays easier for everyone to see and understand, but allowing us to select units while the game is paused is something that I would like to see next as a stretch goal. That'd be fantastic. Switching back to that shared view yet again. Technology being picked up. At this point, as Aquarion... Oh, let's switch this back to auto. As Aquarion, I am trying to hurry up and level up and increase my economy. As I've already seen, my opponent has archery right here. And since my opponent has archery, I know I am on a timer. We're going to go ahead and go with those resources, as city walls are going to do me nothing in this situation. And I'm going full greed. I know if I can get those tridents, then I will be able to fight my opponent just fine. But we're going to see how that turns out, because that is a huge and risky play, because At this point, I say this in my replays all the time, I'm now fighting in the dark. I don't know what my opponent is doing. We're gonna go and switch this back. I have absolutely no idea that my opponent is ready to start sieging this city right over here. I should have gone with an Explorer. Why did I not go with an Explorer? Well, as I mentioned before, I'm going full greed, and I'm trying to rush those tridents. I have one goal in mind, and I am just locked fully in on the idea that tridents for me in this game is going to be the answer. Turning that shared fog back on. At this point, they're now moving forward, and they're going to be able to start contesting my central city. I'm going to start spamming out those warriors, but with an archer supporting them in the back, I already know that this city is 100% going to be going down. Picking up another workshop. This time, there's no choice for me to be going with that workshop. Instead, bringing the warrior backwards. Now, my opponent is getting the siege on my city. 2 archers plus a warrior right over here on the side. There is absolutely nothing else that I'll be able to do. 2 archers and a warrior will be 100% be able to siege my capital. And at this point, I do see that, hey, they're going to be able to siege me next turn. It is okay in a situation like this to just move your unit back and not train a warrior. Because if I train a warrior here, they move everything forward, attack with the archers, siege my capital with their warrior, and the game is over. Similar to the situation we're experiencing right over here. I'm bringing another warrior around who's going to be able to contest for my central city. Normally this is a bad idea, but at this point all I'm trying to do is buy myself time. I attack with the warrior in order to lower the warrior's health. What this does at this point in time is, if they capture, this 10 HP warrior over here is going to be able to retake this city. If they decide to kill my warrior and then siege with this warrior, once again, this warrior can re-siege the city, and my warrior over here can kill that warrior that trades mine. I'm picking up these city ruins right over here. I've got a swordsman all the way off here on the side as I am trying to expand and increase my economy. As I want more than 8 stars per turn, and I am trying to rush those tridents. So my opponent is in a tough spot. Due to resources, they're not necessarily able to level up their central city very well. Fishing's not going to do enough for them. Forestry is not going to do enough for them, even though they have picked up forestry to level up their cities here in the back. They're doing an okay spreading their units out, trying to increase how many cities they have. However, due to their aggressive play they have done here in the center, instead of expanding outwards here and taking everything this away, at this point they are fully focused on taking these cities. So they're able to see that this is my capital, they don't have a unit there that they can take, and they use the archer to kill my units here in the back. At this point, there's not a lot else that can be done. Next turn, they'll be able to siege my capital if they so desire. I am still way too far away from picking up that trident technology, as I am just trying to economically put myself in a better position. Oddly enough, despite me losing this central city, I am keeping up an economy with my opponent. We're just going to take that back a turn. My opponent is now making 13 stars per turn. I have lost my city, and I as well am making 13 stars per turn with less cities. So economically, I am doing much better than my opponent. With these ruins, I get a very lucky pickup. It is 3 population that goes straight to the capital. I'm going to be bringing my warriors around, bop-a-da-bop-a-da-bop, hitting the archer to weaken it so they can no longer unsiege my city that I am now taking back. But it's going to be tricky for me to be able to take my capital back, but I have 2 warriors here ready to fight and contest it. We're going to level up this city over here on the east, sending the swordsman out to explore, find some more, and I found another one. And at this point, my opponent is sending their units around, trying to figure out, okay, where are they going to expand their territory? As economically, they're not doing so great, and they can't unsiege. They can't unsiege this. Should they siege the capital, they really can't see much either. So they're going to use their archers to, and this one kind of confused me a little bit. They're going to use their archers to weaken my warrior down, but they're not going to siege the city. Because oddly enough, they can't... I don't know why my opponent decided to... Oh, did they get a good explore at some point that I missed? Okay, so they saw that I could unsiege it, but still, it is confusing not to siege the city. That's a lot of economy that you're allowing your opponent to still get just fine. That one is a questionable play, in my opinion. So we're going to go ahead and I pre-research both writing and roads, as at this point I know exactly what I am going to be needing in order to get myself out of this nasty situation. Because if I'm not careful, I can lose the game, as these archers, if used well, can just siege me down, and that spells disaster completely for me. So I'm going to continue to weaken that archer, sending my units forward, the warrior back, a new fresh warrior in my capital. Now at this point, Icy Wind is going to be picking up both fishing and sailing. I think and sailing was a little bit too much. Riders and roads would have probably worked a little bit better, so they can reinforce their units just fine. Fishing allows them to level up at least this city right over here. And then if they're able to pick up riders and roads, they connect these cities, increase their economy, and they should consider trying to get a giant pushed out in order to fight back. They are now sieging the capital. There's not too much else that can be done about that. Sure, I can unsiege, but at this point, all I've got is warriors everywhere. Everyone's starting to get weaker. We're going to go ahead and use our roads, population up, get some more stars and resources, make another connection here and a connection here. And with that, it is time for crab! The counter push is now coming out. This warrior has become a veteran, going from 3 health all the way up to 15. Save your veteran bonuses. Roading this warrior forward, we are now reducing the health of the archer, and they are unable to siege my capital anymore. The counter push is now it is in full force. The opponent is now going to be bringing all of their units backwards. Warrior's gonna hit. Archer's gonna secure the kill. They're gonna use their fishing to increase their economy, but look at the difference we have. 11 stars to 23. 23 stars, turn 14 as Aquarion. Look, I'll take it at this point. Rider being roaded forward, the crab inching its way closer towards the enemy's capital. Another explorer from Ruins is going off. And look at that. Icy Wind is now able to see their territory. And oddly enough, Aquarion has more land than the Luxidoor does this entire game. This was not the most balanced of maps, but Luxidoor did a fantastic job trying to apply some early pressure with an Archer Warrior early game rush. Population growth coming out for Luxidoor to get their giant out on the water. We're going to see if a giant against a crab is going to be enough to turn the tide of this entire battle. Swordsman coming out, securing the central city for the Aquarion player. archers doing everything they can to just start pinging that crab down. Warriors and riders being rotated forward, and there's the first trident now out on the map. Tridents with roads is one of the most scariest things that you could be dealing with, as they have the movement speed of a knight, range of an archer, and they just hit like a truck. Anything that they decide to kill, they will most likely be able to take care of just fine. At this point, more tridents are now starting to come out for the Aquarion player. The economy is starting to spiral out of control. Luxidoor now just trying to make a comeback, building a workshop for another city right over here. Units being rotated forward, and at this point, just securing the lead. More economy, more roads, rotating everything forward, more tridents everywhere that we can. Luxidoor sees that despite them being able to get their giant, despite them being able to get the counter technology of archers, they have lost too much economy due to focusing a little too much aggressive, trying to be a little too aggressive with those archers, and at this point, they concede. So, I hope y'all enjoyed this Aquarion game. I thought that this shows that despite losing one city and the capital being sieged, just staying calm, calculating your turns, you'll be able to figure out everything just fine. And in this case, yeah, just Crab is OP. Aquarion needs a nerf. Alright, I hope y'all enjoyed this game, and I'll see y'all in the next one.